Hi, it's Chef John from foodwishes.com, and today we're doing chicken parmesan. This was the winner of our first ever reader poll. Also, my niece Brittany's favorite meal ever. So this is my version of chicken parm, and I'm going to do a few things different than they do in the restaurant, but let's get rolling with this. First thing, we're going to pound our chicken breasts so that they're even and will cook evenly. So that's your regulation supermarket boneless, skinless chicken breast. One thing here, let me flip it over. The finger, that little fillet that runs down the middle, is not there. That's how it came. Sometimes they come with them. If they are, pull them out and save those and cook it for another meal. But they pound much more evenly without the chicken fillet in there. And I'm just using that nice round, flat, heavy mallet type pounder. I don't want to go too thin. Basically, I'm trying to get the thick part of the chicken breast to be the same thickness as the end of the chicken breast. So I don't know, it's about a ½ inch thick. All right, so there's my 4 chicken breasts. Now, here's a really important tip. I'm going to salt and pepper very well the actual meat. Then I don't have to worry about seasoning the flour and the breadcrumb because I know the chicken's going to be seasoned. I'm going to put a very flavorful sauce, and of course the cheese on top is flavorful. So a lot of people don't even season the meat there. They season the breadcrumbs and the flour, and I just think that works better. So I'm going to beat up 2 eggs. Rule of thumb, ½ an egg per chicken breast. All right. Now here's another difference. I'm not using regular breadcrumb. I'm using panko, which is a Japanese breadcrumb. You can read about that on the site. Also, all the amounts, of course, will be on the site today. And I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup to a ½ a cup of finely grated Reggiano Parmesan to my panko breadcrumb. And that not only is going to add flavor, okay, but when you fry Parmesan, it actually gets kind of crispy and crunchy. So it's going to add an extra layer of flavor and also help with the coating. Now, I am not a big dredger, and dredger is just a culinary term for putting these chicken breasts in a big pan of flour and coating them. I like to put the flour in a little strainer and just tap it over the chicken, and that way the chicken gets coated and you don't waste 2 pounds of flour. So you basically got to throw away that whole pan of flour if you use the dredging method. So there's a little fast motion. So once those are very well coated with flour, we're going to use the traditional flour first, then egg, then breadcrumb breading method, and forget that wet hand, dry hand thing you heard about or saw on TV. Use a pair of tongs to put the chicken from the egg to the, why touch raw chicken if you don't have to? All right, well, I'm going to sort of touch it now, but at least it's going to be dry. Very important, press those panko breadcrumbs. Again, they're much larger and sharper than your traditional breadcrumb, which makes for a really nice crisp coating. But make sure you press them in, and there's one done. I'm going to do the other 3. And then another very important tip when you're going to fry stuff, you got to let it seal. Okay, so I breaded my 4 chicken breasts, and I'm going to let them sit just like that. You don't have to refrigerate them, but I'm going to let them sit there on the counter for 15 minutes at least, and that's going to kind of make the coating adhere to the chicken much better. In the meantime, let's get the rest of our ingredients together. I'm going to use 3 cheeses. The first one is a nice fresh mozzarella. That's a 1-pound log. So if I cut 1/4 of that, all right, did I mention I used to teach math? I think I already used that joke. So that's 1/4 pound of cheese. Now, if you're using the regular supermarket mozzarella, it's probably much firmer than this. Some stores you just can't find the fresh mozzarella. You can go ahead and grate it. But if you're using the fresh, it's just a lot easier to cube up like this, because if you try to grate it, it will just kind of all smear and mash together. So I'm going to dice up my fresh mozzarella. Again, that's only going to be 1 ounce per chicken breast, so you don't need a ton of cheese for this. It's a mistake people make. They put too much sauce and cheese. Did you see me take that piece? All right, so there's my 4 ounces of mozzarella. I got about 2 or 3 ounces of grated provolone cheese, which I think is very important, a little sharper. And then even sharper is the grated Parmesan. By the way, in the restaurant, a lot of times just sauce and mozzarella. I'm like, hey, it's called chicken Parmesan. Where's the Parmesan? All right, I'm going to chiffonage some fresh basil. And if you can't find fresh basil, I'm sorry. In fact, let me do this regular speed. Sometimes I got to slow this stuff down for the camera. Let me show you how I really, see, that's normal speed there. Pretty good, huh? All right, so a little fresh herb is going to be really nice on this. If you can't find that, I will give you a tip later. But most stores sell the hydroponically grown basil now, so you can pretty much get that all year. Now, in a skillet, my oil was on medium high. How I knew to put the chicken in, I put a little piece of the coating in and it started to bubble and get golden. I knew the oil was hot enough. See, it's only about a ½ inch of olive oil, so I can't really use a thermometer, so you're going to have to go by feel. So get a ½ inch of olive oil, medium hot, and don't cook these too much, okay? The chicken's going to bake in the oven, so we don't want dried chicken. So we just want to get it to the kind of golden, more golden than brown stage. All right, so that literally was like 2 minutes per side. The chicken is still going to be pretty much raw inside, but we're basically just kind of crisping up the outside. There's your close-up. All right, now we're going to put those in a baking dish. And here's the other mistake the restaurants and most other people make. Just too much sauce. They put sauce in the bottom, they put sauce on the top. Why all this sauce? I mean, why'd you bother frying and coating it with that nice crisp breadcrumb and then drowned everything in sauce? It just gets all soggy. So what I do, it's more like a chicken cutlet with a little bit of sauce and cheese and herb garnish. So this is my method. So I don't put any sauce on the pan. So onto that, and it's only like a couple tablespoons of sauce per. I did some red pepper flakes because I like mine spicy. And there it is, just 1 ounce of your fresh mozzarella. Now, very important, you got to build this in the right layers. My fresh herb goes on top of that. Now, here's the tip. If you don't have basil and you have a little bit of pesto, you can drip a little bit of pesto on that layer, or some dry Italian herbs also may work. So it's the sauce, the mozzarella, then if you're going to do herb, then the provolone, and again, it's just about a ½ ounce, and then just about a tablespoon or two of the Parmesan, and that's it. See, restraint. We don't want a big, giant, gooey, melted cheese ball. I want chicken Parmesan, chicken being the main ingredient, and our 3 cheese mix. And then another important tip, you need at least a ½ teaspoon of the olive oil to kind of moisten the top. You're going to bake those for 15 to 20 minutes or until beautiful. Now, what do I mean by beautiful? Well, that's beautiful. Okay, you can kind of hear that little sizzle there. The cheese just starts to brown. The chicken is cooked because 15 minutes is plenty for a chicken breast. If you cook it and the top is all really dark brown, then that cheese comes off like in a big cheese layer wafer, and we don't want that. So anyway, that was my version of chicken Parmesan with a couple little twists and turns. Go to the site, read the article. You can, of course, get all those exact ingredient amounts. And as always, enjoy!